Hey everyone, it is Wednesday, and that means in our expert series, we are talking to our long-term returning guest, Anna Kelly. How you doing, Anna?
I'm doing pretty good, Michael. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Let's just talk about what's going on in your world. You have, I think you have four kids at home. They're doing homeschooling, or yeah, I guess homeschooling. Was that? No, that's not the right word. Electronic schooling for 6 weeks, and just all kinds of stuff
Yeah,
going on, right?
yes, this week is definitely full REI mom mode. All heck is breaking loose on the REI side, and all heck is breaking loose on the mom side. My kids, because we're quarantined in Pennsylvania, not
Yep.
unlike many other states in the country, our schools have shut down for at least 6 weeks, and so we've moved to a cyber model. Everyone's having to use the same computers and try to get done a lot of stuff, and begging for mommy to help every 5 minutes while I'm on the phone dealing with all of these other issues related to owning 500 units. We've got multiple property managers and partners and investors and attorneys and tenants, and just lots and lots of calls trying to figure out what the landscape is as it changes every day, while also playing mommy duty. So if I don't look like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed today, that's the reality of life.
I always like speaking with you because you're so authentic. And by the way, you look great, so don't worry
Thank
about it.
you.
So the one topic I wanted to really get into today is because I don't know why it does every time, but it shocks investors and it just kind of pulls the rug out from under them. And that is just how big an impact lending has in real estate, right? I've been doing this
Mhm.
for 20 years. Lending starts out really easy through '08, then lending disappears in 2010. Then lending kind of slowly comes back, and then it gets easier and easier and easier and on all different fronts. And then suddenly, kind of like last Tuesday or Wednesday, it just ground to a halt. And, I must have heard from 5 or 6 people on Thursday, so last Thursday, and probably 20 people on Friday that deals didn't close because the money didn't show up from the lender. Folks,
Yeah.
lending is something you have to track. Is it getting easier or harder? Because it will impact your deals and every deal around you, whether it's residential, whether it's investment, whether it's, BRRRR, whether it's, I mean, we don't talk about lending enough, and people just always assume it's going to be there. This is the
Yeah.
second time in my career it disappeared in a heartbeat. So
Yeah.
you got to
And
be ready
Michael,
for it.
remember when we were talking about, the concerns of recession, the first thing that I was really concerned with is, even if things get back on track, and this was before coronavirus, if you hit recession, banks usually lag a couple of months and then
Yeah.
the lending dries up. And so companies that are already hit hard have a very hard time getting loans, and real estate investors, if you need to refi, you need cash out for expenses, repairs, etc. It almost always happens following some kind of recession. And so now we've got this huge black swan event with the coronavirus stopping it immediately. And, the lenders are already reacting. So I have a loan, which I guess we can just talk about.
Mhm.
I have a buyer on a multi-unit that I'm selling, and a loan was supposed to close on March 6th. And because they were overwhelmed with refis and all kinds of other things, that were having to hire new underwriters, and it got delayed. It got delayed a week, and then 2 weeks, and then Corona hit. So
Mm.
they put this thing on hold again. We've had three extensions, and they came back yesterday and say it's back on. You can close tomorrow. So we're literally funding today, and we get an email that the lender is halting all loan closings. They will not fund, and they will reassess on April 1st. And the reason is because they said they told our title company that there is no longer a secondary market for loans. So they don't have buyers. So if they want to do your loan, but they can't securitize it and sell it on the secondary market, then they cannot close your loan. And so I'm dealing with that now. And, we don't know if it will close. I believe it will. I think it'll take the banks a while to react. I think it'll take some time for the stimulus to get people no longer freaked out and willing
Yeah.
to buy mortgage-backed securities again. But until they do, lending is very, very tight with any lender, which is the vast majority of them, who
Mhm.
securitize and sell their loans on the secondary market.
Yeah, you mentioned multifamily. Is it residential loan 4 and below or commercial 5 and above?
It's a residential 4-unit apartment
Okay.
building, but it's a commercial rental property loan. Yeah.
So I'm just because I don't
It's
know
in other
why.
words, it's
Go
not
ahead.
through like FHA. It's not a
Ah, got it.
conventional 4-unit FHA.
Got it.
There are a lot of lenders in the multi-unit space who will do commercial loans that they
Mhm.
still securitize on smaller
Right.
properties.
And that's the part that stopped, right? The FHA
Yes.
backed, first four loans, that stuff will go through. What's happening there is appraisers are having to do drive-bys because they don't want to go in people's houses. That's a whole nother problem. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
that commercial market where you and I play, right? I can't get an FHA loan or backed loan. That's
Yeah.
why my rates are 6 or 6.5 when, people that I talk to can get a 4.
Right, right.
It's
And
just
the other
different.
thing is like for the big complexes, they're usually done through Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae,
Yep.
both government-backed agencies.
Yep.
And those already, even though they're going to move forward and close, they've changed immediately, midstream, mid-application, to where if you have a loan in process with Fannie Mae, which does a lot of commercial and multifamily loans, they are now immediately calling all buyers to come up with 1 full year of mortgage reserves and 6 months, I believe it is, of expenses.
Yep.
So they may have had something ready to fund, and all of a sudden people have to scramble to come up with hundreds of thousands of dollars more that they don't have and will not be able to close these loans unless that happens.
Yeah, again, this is all happening in real time. Lending is the thing that we don't talk enough about, we don't follow. I mean, just talk about it, right? If you were looking to close, pick a number, a 500 unit apartment complex, and you did a raise and all of those things, and it was going to close tomorrow, or it'll close Thursday or Friday, whatever. And suddenly you have to come up with another $750,000. Good luck raising that today, right? You're
Right?
you're not going to
Right?
have it. Where are you going to get it from? Right? Everybody's scared.
Yeah.
The deal's going to blow up. So transactions are going to fall apart. Real money's going to be lost because you had your inspections and this and you had that. And this is messy. Deals are going to blow up. It's going to hurt sellers and
Mhm.
buyers. Um,
Right.
Probably
And we're
sellers
talking,
more.
yeah, and on the big deals, I mean, just rate lock fees can be $500,000. So
Oh,
somebody's locked in. I had a deal where our rate lock fee was over $400,000 last year. So it's the bigger the deal, the bigger money that is at risk. And so if you can suddenly no longer close, even if it's no fault of your own, that money is gone. And so, you've got to figure out how to come up with that money. And to your point about investors, there may be investors who have committed that if you haven't closed yet, say, I'm out. We
gone.
haven't closed this thing yet. The investment money's gone. So it is a very, very scary market for all of us. But the bigger the deal, the bigger the bucks at stake, and the easier it is for those deals to fall apart now. So
Yeah, and again, this is all to be expected, right? If you're following the market, seeing what's going on, we've been talking about, you and I specifically, about deals getting skinny. And again, when the market is good, lending loosens up because they want to keep the wheels grinding. They don't want to be the reason for the cause. But when they hit a speed bump, it's like, what is it? Wild Coyote. It's Roadrunner and Wild Coyote, right? Those are the two cartoon characters you and I
Wiley
grew
Coyote.
up with.
Yep.
Yeah. Remember
Yep.
those episodes where he runs off a cliff and is like standing there in midair with his legs moving and then he falls? That's what just happened. We are standing over
Yeah.
nothing and we are about to go that way.
Right.
And
Right.
it's
And the
this.
difficulty is we
Mhm.
have no control. You really
No.
can't do anything. You're just at the mercy of the banks and the lenders, who are at the mercy sometimes of the security,
Mhm.
and those that are going to buy the loan, and they're all in a very difficult position as well. They want to close loans, they want to get these things done, but
Yeah.
we really don't have a lot of options. You either let the deal blow up and you cancel the sale and you
Yep.
wait, or you hold on, you offer extensions, you try to get the deal done. So um, it can be some sellers will be able to ask a premium still for their property, because
Mhm.
if they've got a really good stable asset, there might still be buyers for it now.
Mhm.
But if you've got cash, cash is king. You might be able to take some things down and get a great deal. But if you need a loan, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. And it's gonna take a while to get those deals closed.
Yeah. And again, I just can't help but relate this back to 10 and
Yes.
comparing '08 with 20. First off, the speed, remarkably different, right? 2008 to 2010 was just a slow bleed, right? It's kind of a, it was almost self-fulfilling, right? As it kept going down and down and down. And then it came back, definitely a long U, right? To use this thing that you and I hear all the time. Is it a V, a U, a
Yeah.
W, whatever, right? I firmly expect that FHA at Freddie Mac back stuff will bounce like a V, no question. There'll be different requirements. You're probably going to have to go renegotiate the deal because the buyer has to bring so much more to the table. The seller's going to have to give. It's
Right.
just how you play. But
Right.
the commercial market, that non-government backed stuff where there's no secondary buyers today, those, oh man,
Yeah.
that could take a while to
Yeah.
come back. I mean, it just could.
CMBS, commercial mortgage-backed securities, they're done for a while,
Yeah.
and bridge lenders. I'm already hearing rumblings of a couple of bridge lenders who are about to be completely, out of the space. So
Mm-hmm.
I think what it does is for people that can qualify for these agency-backed
Yeah.
loans that have very high standards and the properties are stabilized, you'll be able to continue to buy and sell fairly soon again. But
Mm-hmm.
if you've got properties that really are unstabilized,
Mm-hmm.
they're highly vacant, or they need a lot of return, or a lot of
Yeah.
repairs, you're not going to be able to find the loans, the bridge lenders that are willing to take
No.
on that kind of risk. I think for a while, I think it's going to take some time to
Oh,
bounce back.
at least a year. For a while, let's put some, it'll be quarters, for
Yeah,
sure.
I agree.
There's no question.
hmm
Um,
And I
I
think
also,
all lenders are going to start to tighten their requirements. To your
oh,
point, I think you're
instantly.
going to see higher debt service coverage ratio requirements, longer reserve periods than what we're seeing now. Because if we have another disease like this,
Oh,
the same kind of things could happen. So,
yeah.
and the reality is these things tend to go in cycles and they continue. So we've had MRSA, we've had SARS, we've had
Mhm.
coronavirus, we had avian flu, H1N1, Ebola. There's gonna be something else. And so I think lenders are gonna learn well liquid and well capitalized are just not gonna find it as easy to find loans as lenders were giving out over the last couple of years.
Yeah. So again, this is going to help new purchases, but where I feel for folks is there are a lot of people now that have been doing this BRRRR strategy in my space of residential. There's
hmm
also been lots of multifamily folks have been doing the whole value add space, and they got expensive debt because the building was rough.
Right, right.
Now the refi, which you've been counting on to reliquify your position or pay off hard money or private money, man, bad timing.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
is going to hurt.
And this is the main reason that I don't flip, Michael. And it's not because I don't believe that there are some really strong businesses who flip, and they're very very good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're relying on hard money rather than private money,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be those people that have multiple loans out right now are going to be really hurting. I think people are going to lose a lot of properties, and they're going to have to just slash them and sell them at a discount
Mm-hmm.
because your buyer market is also currently, at least temporarily, on hold.
Oh, for
In our
sure.
state, you cannot list and show an apartment right now. Brokers may not work.
Wow.
So the showings are done. I just listed a property. I've had no showings. And normally I'd have a whole bunch of them because it's priced right, it's in a great neighborhood, but brokers and agents are not allowed to show because we're under quarantine. And so
Mm.
at least for a few weeks, maybe a month, maybe two, it just depends on how long this goes. People can't get buyers to walk through their properties. So it's a big deal.
Yes.
But there's
Again,
hope. It's just
there.
gonna take time. It's just gonna take time.
Yeah, that's where I want to. That's where I want to end. Let's talk about hope. Let's end this on a positive note because this first 20 minutes made me depressed. Just kidding. I'm
I'm
excited.
sorry.
No, I was kidding. I'm excited about what's coming because again, um, I talk about it almost every day, right? Watching the cost of capital, access to capital, and the consumer. And I just put out a video this morning. This is what I'll just tell you what I'm doing in 2020 is I'm going to go buy, just like I was before, slumlord properties. I'm going to buy them from wholesalers at least 20% cheaper. Then I'm going to leverage my 6 and 20 program, which we've talked about, right? Interest plus profit for an investor, just to do the purchase price. I'll do the repairs, and then I will just stick a renter in it. I'm going to stack these for the next 6 or 9 months, and I'm going to wait until lending returns, and then I'm going to sell them at a premium, because once lending comes back, most of my buyers only have 1 or 2 rentals, and I cash flow them. I mean, I had plan Bs. So I'm excited by what's coming.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a cheap son of a gun.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people that like getting 6% and then get a 20% kick later. But I'm going to be in the
Yeah.
residential space. I'm not going to play in the commercial stuff, because that's broken today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited. So how can we leave on a positive note? Did you like, I know we haven't seen the details yet, but it sounds like the government approved $2 trillion, much of that going to the people that you and I want it to go to, which is the average citizen. So I felt good about
Yes.
that, for sure. How about you?
Yeah, I think regardless of your views of monetary policy and whether you're conservative or whether you're liberal, at this time in our nation, and this crisis, this is, if there is any time for the government to pump
Mhm.
money into the system, this is the time to do it.
No
And so
question.
I'm thankful that our president and our Congress on both sides of the aisle finally came up with a compromise. I don't know
Mhm.
what all's in the bill and whether I like it, but
Yeah.
they're sending money to the people that need it. And
Yes.
so, as an investor, and as a friend and a family member of many people who are really hurt by this thing, I'm glad to see that unemployment benefits are going to be higher and longer,
Yep.
and that people are going to get checks that are going to help them to pay for both their food and their shelter.
Yep.
And so it helps them, but it also helps me to not have to, panic as a landlord and an operator owner that my tenants are not going to be able to pay, because the government's going to make it such that they can, at least over the short term. And so, that's a blessing for everybody. So I'm thankful for
Yeah.
that.
The biggest piece I'm looking for in this, because I have the same hope, right, is when they could see it, right? I would hope most of them have access to it in April. I'm not confused to think it's going to be April 1st or anything. The system, the gears don't move that quick. But,
Hmm.
could they shoot for April 15th? That seems like a realistic goal. I would hope.
Yeah.
I would hate
Yeah.
to hear it's May 15th. That would suck, right? Uh,
I heard rumblings that they're mailing checks next week, but we'll see how fast they can do it.
yeah. So that's the one piece that I'm holding out hope to see. All right, when is that coming? So I'm hoping it's next week.
Yeah.
Just like you. So that's going to be
Yeah.
good news. Again, frankly, the federal government or the state government told us to stay home. That impacts people that had jobs, and you need to pay
Yeah.
them. So pay them, right? I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, conservative, whatever. It was the
Yeah.
only option, because if we didn't do it, a depression wasn't out of the question.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I was worried that the unemployment numbers that we are seeing, they're expecting 2 million this week.
Oh,
Last week was
I'll take the over.
280,000.
It'll be more than 2 million.
Yeah,
It's tomorrow at
I think it
8:30.
will
I'm
be too.
afraid. Yeah.
Yeah. Great Depression, I believe unemployment was 25%
That was the peak,
or 30,
25%,
close to 30,
no,
25%.
25, 1931, I think, something like that.
1931.
But
And
yeah,
and
that was,
estimates I was seeing last week were expecting 30, 31%, now. And so I hope that we don't hit that number, but at least, like you said, the government's done something to hold it off. And the other thing is, talking about lending, is most lenders now have come back and said, we will offer some type of forbearance for those that need it, so
mhm,
that mortgage payments, don't have to be paid if your tenants are really hurt. And so
yeah,
I think we need to be careful about taking advantage of those programs and only use them when we need them, because there are some consequences to them as well. But as landlords, when people say, I told you so, like the caller you had last week, you
yeah,
guys are going to be hurting and you should have not
yeah,
been in rental property. Times like this show that the government is not going to let all of real estate just completely crumble, and so
yeah,
they have mandated that lenders work with owners, and so I think everybody's going to be okay. It's just going to take,
yeah.
we're going to have a rough April and May, and
Mhm.
and hopefully by June things come back to
That's
normal.
exactly where I am. April and May are going to be rough. They're going to be rough for tenants and landlords and investors.
Right.
Matter of fact, um, it's important for people to realize that forbearance is not forgiveness, right? They're going to
Right.
back it on the end. They're going to split it out over 12 months. It'll be up to your lender to review. Some of the people I talk to
Right.
just think like, oh, it's like the debt's washed away. I'm like, what are you kidding me? What are you
No.
thinking? Nobody's going to do that. Some people. Anyways,
Yeah.
Yeah. So watch lending, folks. Take this as a lesson learned. Never assume lending is going to be there. I learned this lesson when you had an 800 credit score, 6-figure income, 7-figure net worth, and banks told you no. In
Yes,
2010, I knew this would happen, or I knew it could happen,
it
and
happened to me.
it did again. Yep, me too. But this is going to be fun. We're going to get through this. Until last night at 11 o'clock, it was still a choice. Oh, do we go Great Depression or do we just limp through? Now that people get money, we're going to limp through. The Great Depression is off the table. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
All right. Well, have a wonderful day. You get after it and have fun with all the kitties.
Thank you.
Got it.
Have a good day.
Yep.